I was strong as I could be, like a rock. Nothing ever got to me, like a rock. I was something to see, like a rock. And I stood arrow straight, unencumbered by the weight of all these hustlers and their schemes. I stood proud, I stood tall, high above it all. I still believed in my dreams.
Our phone numbers are 630-9371, 630-9372, 630-9373, 630-9374, and 618-8255. Or find us on Facebook at Nationwide News Network and follow us on Twitter at Cliff Nationwide. You can also listen to Cliff Hughes online live on the World Wide Web at nationwideradiojm.com or via the Nationwide 90 FM app on your mobile phone. Now, here's your host, Cliff Hughes.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's get to work.
Cliff says, what's on his mind? Unfiltered analysis and commentary.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light. And I held firm to what I felt was right, like a rock. Like a rock. I was strong as I could be, like a rock. Nothing ever got to me, like a rock. I was something to see, like a rock. And I stood arrow straight, unencumbered by the weight of all these hustlers and their schemes. I stood proud, I stood tall, high above it all. I still believed in my dreams.
Morning, morning, morning. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a Thursday morning, and as we have been doing for the last 4 or 5 weeks now, and will continue to do for months, if not years. Yes? The fallout from Category 5 Melissa will be the story of our lives for some time. And this morning, so shall it be. The lead this morning, though, has to do with a public notification that the Jamaica Public Service Company has posted. And I'm going to put it up on the screen for you, because what JPS has brought to our attention is shocking, astounding. That notification speaks to an act of vandalism. An act of vandalism carried out by someone in Jamaica in St. Anne. And there is the notification on the screen for you from JPS. And it's headline, JPS sounds alarm after act of sabotage. Sabotage. JPS says. And, you know, when it came to my attention this morning, I had to read it a couple of times. JPS sounds alarm after act of sabotage. Newly restored St. Anne communities plunged back into darkness. And the JPS says, we strongly condemn a shocking act of sabotage that plunged several St. Anne communities back into darkness shortly after our crews had successfully restored power. During patrols, our teams discovered that a freshly planted utility pole had been deliberately cut at the base, causing it to topple. This criminal act, carried out in Bonham Spring, resulted in a sudden outage affecting the Bonham Hill housing scheme, hand-to-mouth, Refuge Hill, and the Lower White River substation, all of which had only just been brought back online after extensive restoration work. The JPS says we are urging all well-thinking persons to remain vigilant and to immediately report any suspicious activity, vandalism, or signs of sabotage. These destructive acts not only endanger lives, but also slow the restoration process for communities counting on the return of formal service. And they urge us to read more on their JPS website. And there's the photo of the pole that looked like a saw that was deliberately sawed, at the base of the freshly planted pole. And it toppled. No, I can't believe that a right-thinking person, knowing what we are going through, knowing the urgency of getting power restored to every Jamaican household, would do that? And you have to ask, why would anybody in their right mind would think of doing something like that? Organizing themselves to go get a saw, to think about executing that act of criminality and vandalism. Why would anyone do that? Why? I can't believe that this is a mad person or someone motivated by something else. So, several people in Bonham Spring, hand-to-mouth, Refuge Hill, and the Lower White River substation. This is in St. Anne. I'm told this is northeast St. Anne. We're going to try and get JPS, Nora, try and get Winsome Callum for me, or someone in a senior position who has knowledge of this, for us to get some more on this. But this is mind-boggling. I am not even going to try to second guess or to speculate what would be the motive for somebody to do this. Yeah? The most I will say, is that we have some people in Jamaica. We see some of them. We hear their voices, we hear their faces, we see their faces, yeah, online, who mean this country no good. For whatever reasons, political, economic, whatever, they mean this country no good. And they will stoop very low to destroy it. Look how everybody was struggling to get back the light. JPS struggling, we inconvenienced, with businesses, with house, with communities affected, and somebody go and do that. Yesterday afternoon, we learned of a crash, a deadly crash, on the east-west highway in St. Catherine. And we lose hundreds of Jamaicans a year in motor vehicle crashes. But it is unusual for us to lose in one crash 5 people. 5 people died yesterday afternoon. And according to the head of the Constabulary Forces Public Safety and Traffic Enforcement Branch, ACP Gary Mackenzie, their early indications or investigations indicate that the vehicle which crashed, a Toyota Hiace minibus, was speeding and an overladen bus. The collision, which occurred near Old Harbour in St. Catherine, as I said, killed 5 people and left more than 15 injured. Here is ACP Mackenzie.
At about 3 p.m., a Toyota Hiace motor truck, which is one of those minibuses plying the route from Mandeville to Spanish Town, was traveling easterly along the T.J. Patterson Highway when on reaching the vicinity of Sharper Lane or Old Harbour. For some reason, the vehicle veered to the left, went off the roadway, overturned. The result of the vehicle crashing, being damaged in the manner that it is, as well as the nature of the injuries, clearly suggests that the vehicle was traveling at a very good speed.
I think ACP Mackenzie misspoke there, not at good speed, at high speed, well beyond what it was supposed to be traveling at. According to Dr. Mackenzie, the minibus was carrying more passengers than it's licensed to do.
That particular vehicle should actually be a 16-seater. And so the fact that there was 4 or 5 more persons in it indicates that the vehicle would be traveling with excess passenger, which of course is a breach of the law. Manufacturers of vehicles will have what is known as laden and unladen weight. And certainly when vehicles are traveling, what happens when we have loads that are not fixed, meaning that people who are movable, then certainly weight transfer, depending on what happened in the case of a sudden swerve or making a corner, could cause weight transfer that may affect maneuverability.
ACP Dr. Gary Mackenzie, the head of Peace Study, was speaking on Nationwide at 5 yesterday afternoon. So here we are this Thursday morning. Families of those dead and injured, grieving. And we have spoken about the level of indiscipline on the roads. And we just have too many Jamaican motorists, yeah? And motorcyclists too. I see them as well. It's not only the motorists, the motorcyclists. It's as if we, under nothing that we put our lives at risk and the lives of the passengers you are entrusted to take care of. And you notice, I gather the driver escaped unscathed yesterday. The drivers always protect themselves. Yeah, always. But not your life. And too many of us, when we are in these situations, we are afraid or refuse to say to the driver, cut the whatever, let me out. Let me out. If more of us were to do that, we would save lives. But you sit there and you hope for the best. You all need to tell them you're either going to drive safely or let me out of this. What's it? Time for the break.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light, and I held firm.
The Time brought to you by the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport. Fueling growth everywhere is...
It's 17 minutes after 10.
Spring into style with Unique Living. Upgrade your home with our extensive range of products. Get sleek shower panels, stylish vanities, LED and non-LED mirrors, plus kitchen sinks, closet solutions, ceiling fans, and more. Available in various finishes and sizes. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10. Call 876-755-3661 or visit our website at www.uniquelivingja.com. Don't wait to spring into style with Unique Living.
Cliff says what's on his mind. Unfiltered analysis and commentary.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light, and I held firm to what I felt was right, like a rock. Like a rock, I was strong as I could be. Like a rock, nothing ever got to me. Like a rock, I was something.
Yesterday, we heard from the Development Bank of Jamaica some news for helping businesses recover from Hurricane Melissa. We have been focused, of course, on helping people cope with the devastation caused by this disgusting hurricane. And yesterday we learned that the DBJ is to offer a suite of facilities to the tune of $11 billion. Beg your pardon. To the tune of $11 billion to help businesses recover. The managing director of the Development Bank, Dr. David Lowe, says the suite of facilities have been carefully tailored by the input of various stakeholders. And if you're a small, medium-sized business operator, you may want to listen to this report on what the DBJ is offering from Siobhan Campbell.
Melissa has devastated Western Jamaica. Unlike COVID-19, which displaced the country's human capital, Melissa has also crippled the West's productive sectors and its physical infrastructure. The Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, is stepping in to offer businesses a lifeline. The program, dubbed M5, will at its peak provide $11 billion to assist with the recovery effort.
This program is a $10 billion Jamaican dollar recovery fund designed to assist in recovery, resilience, after the passage of Hurricane Melissa. The funding is broken into 3 key phases and stages of deployment. The first is a $1 billion Jamaican dollar fund available to all of the AFIs and MFIs, which are our partners in the financial sector. And they have immediate access to this 1 billion fund, which is part of DBJ's current balance sheet. The second phase, which was approved at Cabinet this week, is 3 billion. Thereafter, there's a further commitment of 7 billion Jamaican dollars, which will assist in the overall rebuilding of particular sectors, supply chains, and other economic actors.
Dr. Lowe also gave a breakdown of the three categories under which the fund will operate. It will offer loans of $5, $20, and $50 million.
The framework has three distinct product windows. The first, we have coined the name the refinance window. These are businesses that might have been indirectly affected, which already have credit facilities. And what we've done is to look at how we can engage in an assessment of terms, relax certain issues that can allow them to continue and have some breathing space. The second is what we refer to as the reboot window. And this is also what we have referenced as a light touch. You may have just some short-term needs. You have inventory to be replaced. You have some infrastructure damage that's not material to your ongoing operations, but you need to get back to where you were pre-storm. And the most important, which is the rebuild window, which is a longer phase engagement. And these are businesses that have pretty much been totally disrupted.
The loans have a 10-year repayment period at reasonable interest rates and collateral requirements. The loans will be targeted at key industries such as agriculture, manufacturing, distribution, and tourism. But the DBJ has stressed areas falling outside these priorities can still access the M5 loans. Dr. Lowe says a grant program will also be rolled out to effect resilience in the Jamaican economy.
And how this grant program is going to work is that we want to encourage innovation. We want to encourage things that can bring greater levels of resilience. There's going to be a lot of innovation because we've seen anywhere in the world where you have major impacts and fallout like this. You find that there are entrepreneurs who see an opportunity to do things better than what they were doing before. And we want to be able to give that support. They shouldn't have to pay or be penalized for innovation. So we want to make sure there's a grant element to that. So that will be wrapped in some of our offerings as we go forward.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
All right, so business people, get yourself ready. It's 23 minutes after 10 o'clock. The government of Jamaica, the Holness Administration, says it's engaging in consultations with stakeholders on a proposed one road authority for the entire island. The Minister of Works, Robert Morgan, provided the update at a seminar hosted by the Incorporated Master Builders Association at the Jamaica Conference Center on Tuesday. Here's what Minister Morgan said.
It is not a plan by the government to disempower authorities. It is a plan to empower citizens. In the balance of power, we believe that the citizens' interest remains paramount. And at the end of the day, the people really do not care who owns the road. The people care that the road is repaired. So the idea of a one road authority, we're in the thinking stage of it, and we're going to be consulting with the Master Builders Association, the municipal corporations, and others about how we can formulate a comprehensive framework to govern our road infrastructure.
Minister Morgan says there's a clear need for one single body to oversee the upkeep of the country's road network.
There is no unified standard for fixing roads in Jamaica. So there was a time when some people were still using double surface, chip and spray they call it. But then there's another thing where people are insisting that they use concrete. But then there's another set of people who are saying we don't need concrete. And these are some of the challenges which has created the need for one unified regulatory and in some cases implementing entity to look at all roads. So imagine placing all roads in Jamaica under one regulatory framework, meaning all roads in Jamaica will be subjected to standards.
Minister Robert Morgan. According to Minister Morgan, the government is coming with a bill to address the vexed issue of the spilling of aggregate on the roads.
We're going to implement a section of the Road Traffic Act that says if something emanates from the vehicle you're driving that damages the road infrastructure, the fine is $300,000. We have not implemented it before, but we're going to implement it now. which means that for each time a cement truck drops cement on the road, the fine will be $300,000. So if you drop it 10 times, the fine is $3 million. Why is this important for the government to do? The public invests significant amount of money in road infrastructure. Last year we spent over $7 billion in routine maintenance. But yet, in many cases, the government is not getting value for that investment.
Robert Morgan, the Minister of Works. It's 26 minutes after 10. Here it's 26 minutes after 11 in the Eastern Caribbean, where the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are going to the polls. The polls opened about 4.5 hours ago. They are deciding whether the incumbent Unity Labour Party of Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves will get an unprecedented sixth consecutive term in government. The ULP of Ralph Gonsalves is being challenged by the opposition New Democratic Party under the leadership of Dr. Godwin Friday. Yeah? The NDP has been in opposition for 25 years. Yes, 25 years. Ralph has been running and in charge. I was trying to say large and in charge of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes? They are each fielding 15 candidates. There are 15 members to the House of Assembly. The ULP is going into today's polls with 9 seats and the opposition 6. And one of the seats the ULP won in the last election in 2020. They won it by 1 vote. 1 vote. Right? And Ralph Gonsalves has been running the country for, as I said, 25 years. And he is quite a character, very charismatic politician. Yes? But there's a sense of change in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Here's Ralph Gonsalves versus a truck driver on the campaign trail.
Yeah, boy, I'll find out a truck driver tonight. Watch this. I swear. Boy, I'll find out a truck driver style.
To me, that was a couple of nights ago. And following the campaign, from what's being posted online and talking with sources there, Ralph is under pressure. Yeah? And a couple of nights ago, he asked that they lift him up in prayers.
Lift me up, please, I beg you. Lift me up. Let us lift up each other. When troubles come, don't sell out our country. In we have a lot of bad-minded and wicked people in their leadership. Give us a massive victory. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains.
That's Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves. Well, the man who wants his job is Dr. Godwin Friday. Yeah? He made his case to Vincentians at a rally in the battleground constituency of North Windward an evening or two ago.
I'm so encouraged by the tremendous support that you have given to my colleagues and me over the course of this long campaign. But you know, we have been there with you
before the election announced. We were there in the communities, big and small. We were there when you had troubles and trials. Chevron was there when the volcano blew up. Terrence was there when Beryl ripped the heart out of the Southern Grenadines. We were there with you. And I feel humbled tonight that you are here with us. Because what I say all the time in this campaign, it is not about entertainment, although I know you enjoy yourself. It is not just about following the crowd, although I know you came in your buses and your ones and your twos. It is about all of us coming together and realizing the true potential of this beautiful country that we have inherited, and taking the responsibility and the obligation to say for the next generation, I shall not let you down. And we will do our part to make sure that the country that we gave you is better than the one that we inherited. And you have told us over the course of this campaign that you're ready for something better. Because you know, you have heard from the other side, you have seen them. They have had 25 years in office, and they still come to you and try to say that they need more time to do what they want to do for this country. They need more time to deliver more jobs for the young people. They want to tell you, you need more times to fit a pothole in Kingston. You need more time to put medicine and bandages in the hospital. All they are doing, as the previous speaker mentioned, is they're trying to mamaga you. They're trying to frighten you. They're trying to make all kinds of terrible accusations about the members here on this platform. But you know better, because you have seen us in your communities. You have seen Siobhan John in your classrooms, and your children respect her. Yesterday, I was with this woman in this constituency doing a walkabout. We have done many before. And every time I go out with her, I am so in awe at the respect that she received, even from people I can see that they are not going to vote for her.
The opposition leader, Dr. Godwin Friday, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He is the leader of the New Democratic Party that is seeking today, as we speak, the people of St. Vincent are voting in general elections. A total of 101,000 eligible voters are on the voters list. 101,000 on the voters list. There we have what? 3 million? 2 million plus on ours. Yeah, it's a small island archipelago, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But we're going to be watching that, and hopefully we'll give you the results sometime later today. Let's take the break.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright.
Mark's, the Superstore, Lionel Town and Portland Cottage Bear Clarendon, has all your hardware needs.
Visit our expanded showroom today and shop at leisure for your building materials, furniture, and appliances.
Take advantage of the 10% discount every Thursday on all brands cooking gas.
The Time by Mark's Superstore, helping you build dreams from the ground up, is
10:35.
Eclipse Enterprise is your go-to source for billiards, amusement machines, and electronics. Telephone 876-960-3891. The temperature by Eclipse Enterprise is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston and in the western city of Montego Bay. The following is a public service announcement from the Transport Authority. The Transport Authority wishes to advise you, our valuable customers, that our mobile unit will be available in your area on Wednesday, November 26, 2025, and Friday, November 28, 2025, at the Sagicor Complex in Freeport, Montego Bay from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The following services will be offered: application for new and renewal of road licenses online, badge application and exam, please be reminded that the authority does not accept cash payment. We look forward to serving you. The proceeding was a public service announcement from the Transport Authority.
This is a public service announcement from JPS. JPS is urging customers not to pay anyone to have their electricity service reconnected. Customers are reminded that unauthorized reconnections can be extremely dangerous and can result in serious injury, electrocution, or damage to property. This practice is unethical, illegal, and could delay restoration efforts. If anyone claiming to represent JPS requests payment for reconnection services, report it immediately to the nearest police station or JPS. JPS thanks all customers for their patience as teams continue working to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. That was a public service announcement from JPS.
Merry, merry moments with Mitsubishi. You're rolling with we are easy breezy. For the Christmas, you know you're rolling in style. Merry moments with Mitsubishi. Merry moments, buy your sport Outlander, we cruising. Win cool gifts with the vehicle you're choosing. Eclipse cross with the family you're moving. Merry, merry moments with Mitsubishi. Outlander, sport key under Christmas tree. Grand prize win a staycation for two. Merry, merry moments with Mitsubishi.
Conditions apply. Cliff Hughes Online. Talk radio for all Jamaicans.
My hands were steady.
23 minutes going up to 11. The following is a paid rebroadcast of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness's presentation in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
Speaker, it is my honor to report to this honorable House on my recent participation in the G20 summit held in Johannesburg, South Africa, hosted by President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa from the 22nd to the 23rd of November 2025. Over the course of the last few days, I held a series of high-level engagements with international institutions and world leaders with the overarching aim of securing Jamaica's interests in three key areas: advancing the country's recovery and reconstruction agenda following recent disaster events, mobilizing development and climate resilience financing, and reinforcing Jamaica's engagement with global governance institutions and the Global South. In support of this agenda, I met with the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund and the President of the World Bank, sharing Jamaica's latest damage and loss assessments and presenting the recovery and reconstruction plan to the global finance community. During the Johannesburg meeting, I held productive talks with the following leaders, among others, President Cyril Ramaphosa, the summit host, and he affirmed support for Jamaica through their own disaster fund. I met with President Emmanuel Macron of France, in which we discussed deepening our cooperation and support for Jamaica's financing bid. I met with President Lula da Silva of Brazil, where we discussed possible agricultural support and support for Jamaica's relief and recovery initiatives. I met with Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada, and I want to say here that Canada, through Prime Minister Carney, has taken a special interest in the financing of the reconstruction. It is a very technical area and an area in which we will require the support of many leaders who sit on the boards of the various international financial institutions where they have representatives on these boards. So when you present your package, you want to have global support from international leaders so that your request, your package of support can be approved by the boards of these international financial institutions. So that was the general thrust of meeting with the world leaders, to garner support for Jamaica's bid for financing. I met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India, noting our cultural and historical ties, And we also discussed support for Jamaica's agricultural sector and fisheries sector. And of course, all of these countries that we have discussed all assisted immediately as the hurricane struck. So we also expressed our thanks and gratitude to them. I met with the Vice President of Nigeria, and Nigeria committed to assist in our relief and recovery effort. And as I said, I met with Ajay Banga, and Ajay Banga is the president of the World Bank, and Kristalina Georgieva of the IMF. Interestingly as well, I had a good meeting with Tedros Ghebreyesus, the Director General of the World Health Organization. We discussed the public health situation in Jamaica as a result of the pandemic, and they have agreed to mobilize emergency resources for Jamaica. I also participated in multilateral sessions of the G20 summit, which was focused on disaster risk financing, climate transition, and debt sustainability, key areas for our CARICOM region. Notably, the summit's declaration emphasized disaster resilience, strengthening the international coordination for response to climate-related and natural disasters. Mr. Speaker, in those arrangements, I reiterated Jamaica's strong position. In those engagements, I reiterated Jamaica's strong position. We have already mobilized approximately $650 million US dollars, that's about 100 billion Jamaican dollars, for immediate available resources via our pre-planned and pre-arranged disaster risk financing framework. At the same time, we have access to more than $500 million through the rapid financing facility of the IMF. But I emphasize that our multi-year reconstruction effort will require substantially more support than these amounts alone can deliver. As I said earlier, the loss is estimated at $8.8 billion. However, a portion of that would be private losses covered by insurance. It is estimated, therefore, that there should still be a gap, of approximately $5 billion US dollars, which the government would need to fund. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, additional resources would need to be accessed. So, just to summarize that point for the listening public, the damage assessed is 8.8. Insurance may cover 3.8 thereabout of it. There is still $5 billion, rounded figures, that would need to be funded. We have approximately 1 billion, thereabout, 1 billion that we can allocate towards the reconstruction. So we still need to find 4 billion. That's the window. And how do you get this? You have to, $4 billion US dollars. You have to get out there in the international community. You have to bring your case to the world leaders. You have to ensure that the international capital markets see that you're not going to only rely on their resources, that you can also have even greater support from the international financial institutions, and that helps to make a stronger case. And that is what we have done. The G20 summit, the G20 summit was a convenient place to meet all the leaders in one event. We therefore formally requested the international community, including the IMF, the World Bank, bilateral development partners, climate finance platforms, and multilateral development banks, to assemble a reconstruction support package that scales with Jamaica's ambitions and needs. This includes concessional loans and grants earmarked for resilient infrastructure, sustainable agriculture, including poultry and dairy, citrus, and hydroponics, and for the automation of our agricultural sector, for debt service relief and restructuring options to protect our fiscal space and sustain growth, and technical assistance through technology transfer for agriculture and other industries that we're seeking to develop, and for the risk insurance and contingency financing instruments linked to climate change and natural disaster, an area which Jamaica is the prime example of how this is done and utilized. This mission underscores several strategic imperatives for Jamaica, and by engaging proactively in the G20 and on the margins with major partner countries and institutions, Jamaica is asserting its voice in global economic governance, especially as a middle-income, small island developing state facing climate risks. Our emphasis on disaster resilience, sustainable agriculture, aligns neatly with Jamaica's stated vision of leveraging technology, AI, and automation within our agricultural sector, but not just within agriculture, within logistics, within manufacturing, in everything that we are doing. And so we are, Mr. Speaker, positioning Jamaica as the country that is embracing of technology and making ourselves not just the poster child of fiscal resilience, but the poster child of economic resilience in the face of a disaster. Our bilateral talks with Brazil, India, France, South Africa, and Nigeria signals Jamaica's intent to broaden its external partnership beyond traditional donors. And I want to say here, Mr. Speaker, that South-South cooperation is something that Jamaica is pursuing intentionally. I've had discussions with my brother and friend from Rwanda, President Kagame, and he will be sending an advanced team to come and see how they can assist. I suspect that the result of that will be a corps of engineers that will come from Rwanda to assist with our reconstruction. The same thing will happen with Ghana. I had a very good talk with the president of Ethiopia. As I mentioned, the vice president of Nigeria. We are, Mr. Speaker, building close relations with Africa. Because that the G20 was held in Africa is significant, very significant. It shows Africa emerging and Africa being very important to the future of the global economy. But, Madam Speaker, we should note that from a foreign policy point of view, we have always maintained that it is best for Jamaica to always be at the table, to always have a voice. And just to be clear, Madam Speaker, not to be at some table or at a subset. We want to be at the main table where the global decisions are made. And Madam Speaker, it should be noted, it is sometimes, Mr. Speaker, it should be noted, it is sometimes underlooked and undervalued that this is the second time that Jamaica has been invited to the G20. Jamaica has been
Mr. Speaker, the member's time for speaking has expired. We ask that it be extended for 10 minutes to complete the presentation.
The request is on the floor. Those in favor? Those against, the ayes have it. You may continue, Prime Minister. Mike, please.
Mr. Speaker, you know, it is oftentimes not looked upon as being of any great import. You know, one member I overheard saying, when God South Africa, he should be here marshalling the recovery. And I shake my head. I shake my head. And the reason why is that I understand how our electorate and how even some of our intellectuals will think about it. And we didn't take the decision of going lightly. In fact, Mr. Speaker, up until a couple days before, the decision was that I would not be going. But we discussed it and we debated it, and the offer was even extended for us to attend. And we decided that, given that that was the case, we attended. But I want to say this, Mr. Speaker, and it's very important to say. The measure of the recovery is not going to be in how fast you deliver the package of food. The measure of the recovery is going to be how fast you return electricity and water. Yes. How you kept the population safe from diseases and health risks and mentally positive in outlook. But the ultimate measure is going to be how you rebuild forward better. Not that you take up a shack that was destroyed in the hurricane and build back another shack. That is not what is going to be measured as success. And to do that, the time of the Prime Minister is not best used handing out a bag of this and a bag of that. The time of the Prime Minister is best used mobilizing the international community to deliver the billions of dollars that is going to be necessary to rebuild the country. So for those people who want to create mischief and mislead people, I leave my judgment to the reconstruction. So this week, there you go. So in the weeks ahead, the government will prepare and circulate to all partners the detailed Jamaica Reconstruction and Resilience Program document, including costing, phasing, governance structures, environmental and social safeguards, and expected impact, that is in terms of job productivity, technology adoption. We'll convene a partner donor roundtable virtually and then in person to formalize the international support package with a view to securing commitments by the end of the first quarter of 2026. And then we will commence with the first initial tranche of early action projects under our framework to demonstrate momentum, accountability, and value for money to our partners as well as to the Jamaican people, and to ensure that Jamaica's disaster risk financing architecture is fully leveraged and our fiscal framework remains prudent, and that all assistance aligned with our national development priorities and climate resilience goals. Mr. Speaker, I wish to express gratitude to all the Jamaican delegation members and government officials who supported the work in South Africa. I also wish to thank the members of the diaspora who I got the opportunity to meet in South Africa. And let me also extend gratitude to all of our development partners and international institutions for their engagement. Most importantly, I wish to assure the House and the Jamaican people that this mission generated significant dividends, commitments, committed attention to the highest level of global governance to Jamaica's needs, specific bilateral affirmations of partnership, and tangible forward momentum on Jamaica's key strategic priorities. I now commend this statement to the House and look forward to a collective move forward to resilience, prosperity, and an inclusive Jamaica.
Prime Minister, thank you for the statement. I have a couple of in relation to the 650 million that has already been mobilized from the insurances and other sources, Could you give me a breakdown of that 650 million? I know CRIF is about 90, the cat bond about 150. What I'd like to know whether the balance of that money reflects insurances or whether those reflect any loans that we have taken from any other multilateral partners. I know the 500 million you refer to is an IMF drawdown, which comes from the Rapid Financing Facility. With the 1.15 that we have in hand, could you indicate how much of that we have spent in the recovery effort so far, and what are some of the immediate priorities? For example, we know many people have lost livelihoods in the tourism industry. We know SMEs have been decimated. What is the plan to provide immediate relief to those particular stakeholders where if you don't provide the relief now, the problem is going to be a bigger problem 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the road? Secondly, and your colleague may be able to answer this better, are we receiving the full 150 million from the cat bond, or are there any fees or charges related to it, which would maybe 10%? I don't know what the figure is, but are there monies deducted from that to give a net value to the Jamaican people? And then I take note of the plan, and I don't think anybody on this side would have any criticism of your trip to South Africa to lobby for funding, and I don't think anybody said that. But from the preliminary discussions that you would have had with your multilateral partners, have you any indication at this stage, accepting that you wouldn't have something firm, of commitments that would help to close that gap of approximately $4 billion? And then for the Minister of Finance, what would be your projection? You're not the minister, but we haven't gotten a statement from her. We know we're at about 62% GDP. We had to expect to get down to 60 before the end of the fiscal year. You're obviously going to have to borrow. What is your projection in the short term in terms of what you anticipate our debt to GDP will rise to in the short term, and then over time, what you think, what level we would be at? And finally, you had indicated a couple of weeks ago, we're going to relax the fiscal rules, which nobody would have an argument with. Have we begun or started that process, formally submitting the report to the Independent Fiscal Commission, etc., so that that process is underway, and we have formally made the overtures to the respective multilateral agencies in relation to seeking funding?
Member from St. Andrews South East, you mentioned in your presentation a new creature in our our fiscal landscape called the Fiscal Commissioner. And the Fiscal Commissioner examines all our statements and everything that the government puts forward for its credibility and whether or not it is sound. And they will make pronouncements. So we on this side have enforced a particular discipline. And that is when it comes to speaking on some of these fiscal issues, we allow the Minister of Finance to speak first. The Minister of Finance will come to Parliament Tuesday next week with some of the things that you have just asked. For example, you have asked about whether or not we have started the process to change the fiscal rules. Yes, it has begun, and the Minister will come with the necessary legislative changes that are necessary. And that process of bringing our supplementary and having it reviewed by the Fiscal Commissioner, that is underway. So a supplementary will come next week. So I don't want to answer questions that ought rightfully to be presented by the Minister of Finance at that time. I would say to you, though, that you have asked questions regarding, you've asked a question regarding what we have gotten in terms of the catastrophe bond and these things. The catastrophe bond, I understand that it's a full payment, but there are usually some small fees and so attached. What that is, I couldn't say, I don't know now, but the Minister of Finance, I will have her undertake present that when she presents next week. Our fiscal resilience plan starts with savings, which we put into our National Disaster Risk Fund, then contingencies, which we set aside from each budget, then insurance, for example, the CRIF, then our catastrophe bond, which we have gotten a full payout from, and from the CRIF, Minister, you remind me what we got from the CRIF? About 91 billion. And then we have access to prearranged financing, essentially prearranged debt that we can get at concessionary rates. And that would come from our partners, the IMF, the World Bank, and the IDB. From the IDB, there are some prearranged funds that can go up to as much as about 400 million, thereabout. We will not be able to get all of it because some of it is reliant on some triggers being met. Those triggers have not been met in this disaster. The CAF, which is the Central American Development Bank, they have given us a grant, but they have said that they would be prepared to give us financing as well. So my visit to the G20 to meet with all of these leaders all in one place was to secure funding over and above what we have already secured through the various systems that I have mentioned, from savings to prearranged debt, because the extent of the damage surpasses what we had prearranged and what we have set aside in savings and contingencies and insurance. So we need to go to the international community, make our case, garner friends, get influence in these international financial entities to look at Jamaica's case specially or give special consideration so that we can get access to more financing. That's the essence of it.
Just a follow-up. Could you indicate how much we have raised from the, I think it's the Support Jamaica website, in terms of funding, and whether we have been using those funds to deal with the ongoing responding to the emergencies, etc., and whether those funds are managed through the Ministry of Finance or an appropriate government agency, and whether the same rules that apply in terms of procurement, etc., for normal government-related funds apply to those that would be raised through the Support Jamaica website.
Technically, all the funds raised should go into our National Disaster Risk Fund. Some of them go to ADPEM, go to the account, to the ADPEM account. But all the funds are under the management and supervision of the regular fiscal and financial rules that pertain to any funding that the government of Jamaica has. The question is whether or not, so your question is, did they go into the central consolidated fund or did they go into a special fund? If they went into the consolidated fund, then they are at the disposal of the government. If they go into the disaster risk fund, then they can only be spent under certain conditions and for certain purposes. And so any fund that is related to disasters goes into the disaster risk fund, unless either the donor or the person lending specifies that it can be for budgetary support, which I haven't seen much of that recently. Now, the question that you're asking is, have we spent any of those funds on the relief effort? My understanding is that we have first utilized what we have in the contingency, meaning what we have set aside in the budget, and then what we have in the fund itself. So in other words, we are only spending so far Jamaica's money because that's immediate and you know what it is. The others it keeps coming. One day you hear it's X amount, then by tomorrow more comes in. So we'll soon know what the full picture is. I believe the ADPEM director at some point would have given he would have given some updates. I don't have those figures with me. Yeah, but I will undertake, member, that at the next time that I speak publicly, I will have the figures available as to exactly what has been raised from all the efforts. A global figure, I'll make those available. And just to be clear, Mr. Speaker, I know there's a lot of talk about government getting money and not using it, and we have to be so careful that these kinds of careless talk. Now, for the people, Mr. Speaker, I'm about to say something, and I just want to be clear. For the people who are saying it, and gaining influence on persons who don't understand, it is dangerous. Because, you know, there is a public that believes that somehow we sit here and we are trying to somehow take away money that has come for the relief of the people. Let me say this clearly, Mr. Speaker. It would be morally reprehensible for anyone to be using any government resources in any way that has been given or borrowed for relief or any other action to mitigate the damage of this hurricane for any personal or private gain. And if there is any such thing happening, I don't have to wait for any other entity to ferret it out or find it. I will find it myself. Let it be on the record, Mr. Speaker, that this is not the first disaster that this government has had to address. There was never a question about the administration of resources for Hurricane Beryl. No donor said, what I gave, I don't know how it was accounted for. Let it be clear that for the entire administration of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, where the government of Jamaica executed the largest social protection program in the history of Jamaica. There wasn't even one question of misappropriation of funds. So I want to be clear, Mr. Speaker, that those persons who wish to tarnish myself, tarnish the government, you're tarnishing Jamaica with a lie. I am not worried so much, Mr. Speaker, because wherever I travel and I meet with the international community, you know what they say? They say, you have done an amazing job. And I'm not joking, Mr. Speaker. I don't have to say it about myself. The international officers who come here representing the international agencies, they go, and I don't ask them to, they go and say it publicly. Direct contradiction of the nonsense that some people are saying. So I know that it hasn't done any damage at that level, because they know, they see, they understand, they know the systems in place, and they know what would have happened in other countries. Yes, yes. And they have confidence in the government. Yes. But some of them who are saying these things are people who know better, and they mislead. They mislead the people. So let me be clear in this parliament that this government will manage this disaster without any form of corruption, misdirection, maladministration, malfeasance, misfeasance. We are going to manage this disaster with the highest level of probity and integrity and accountability. And it is necessary to do this, Mr. Speaker, because the scale of what we need in support from the international community can only be gotten if the international community feels that we have the institutional framework to ensure that whatever resources are made available are properly used. So one can only say that those people who are spreading those rumors are determined to bring down Jamaica. They do not support Jamaica. So as I stand here, Mr. Speaker, my statement is also a warning to us. Let's be clear, it is a warning to the government, but it is my duty also to dismiss and dispel falsehood.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have really just one single question for the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, are you aware that your statement that the government will prepare and circulate to all partners the detailed Jamaica Reconstruction and Resilience Program document, including costings, phasing, governance structure, environmental and social safeguards, and all of that detail will ring hollow if you do not ensure that there is indeed a coordinated and joined up approach to what is doing? Or persons will begin to ask, as they have started asking, why is it this early relief program has been so chaotic, disjointed, and partisan in how it has been carried out?
Mr. Speaker, what we have seen here and the question asked is a classic case of bringing the false notion onto a public platform. I can say here, Mr. Speaker, I can say here, and the member from Southwest, I call her my neighbor and my sister. And I try not to be harsh. I try not to be harsh. But she's saying that she can manage it. Mr. Speaker, the member from St. Andrew Southwest is not an expert in disaster recovery. The experts in disaster recovery have spoken, and they have spoken publicly on Jamaican media, on Jamaican radio. They have written documents, and they have said quite the opposite. In fact, they have commended Jamaica as a small island developing state for its response. The persons who peddle this falsehood, Mr. Speaker, seem to conveniently ignore that Hurricane Melissa was one of the strongest hurricanes to have hit Jamaica, not just in the Atlantic, but globally. It is in the top 3 strongest hurricanes. No other hurricane has done the level of damage to Jamaica in its recorded history than this one. None. Within hours after Hurricane Melissa, I picked up the phone and I called the chief, the acting chief of defense staff, the head of the NWA, the minister responsible for works, and I said to them, get the airport open.
11 o'clock that night.
They were out there in the night checking the road to make sure, checking with the necessary authorities to make sure that planes could land. The following day, we were able to open the airport. Mr. Speaker, in a few days, hold on, in a few days, we were able to open the Sangster International Airport. In 72 hours, precisely. Now let me be clear on this, Mr. Speaker. Let me be clear. Roads were blocked. Communities cut off. I don't like to talk about what the equipment capability of the JDF is. Well, we don't have enough helicopters. We just don't. It took 3 days for us to get additional airlift from our American friends, and I want to thank them for making the airlift available. 3 days. When I landed in Black River the day after, I sent a team by ground. That team could not pass through Holland Bamboo to get to me. When I called to say where they were still with machetes trying to cut their way through. JDF was there with them trying to cut their way through. Never forget it, a lady said she walked 20 miles. I saw her coming in to Black River, and she said a neighbor of hers was out in the storm and a wall fell on him and he died. And we asked JDF, as soon as you're able to mobilize, go and find this body. I mean, I would say we had about 5 operational helicopters. Now you think about having just 5 helicopters 3 days after. How are you going to distribute that to deal with all the problems? Yes. The people who peddle that are unreasonable, yes, and they are lying. Yes. And they don't mean Jamaica anything. Now, Mr. Speaker, I am the first one to say that in the immediate response, there was a scramble. We don't deny that, because we have never had this before. Institutions, you know, funny enough, Mr. Speaker, the members from Westmoreland made a very strong case that the disaster response was slow and ineffective. And you know, I reflected on it. I did, because every criticism, I take it and I look at it, because if I am wrong, I am the first to admit. In the same way that when I looked at the response, I said in the first 3 days, we were all just trying to run around and trying to get things done. And you know why, Mr. Speaker? Because the member will tell you that the disaster manager for the parish fell ill, had a stroke, and that key person in the coordination of the response was not available. But it's not, I wouldn't only use that as a response, as an excuse. There were persons who lost their roofs, who were cut off, had no telecommunications, we couldn't find them. So to say that our response was slow, it's not just a lie, it's unfair. Let's make another point, Mr. Speaker. The Jamaica Defense Force stood up an operation, and we had to make strategic decisions about how we're going to use our resources. Strategic decision number 1. If there are people who want to come to Jamaica, who have the experience, who have the equipment, and who have the know-how to do this thing, let them go quickly into the areas. So I see people saying, I don't see nobody from the government. The only person I see is from the Lacovia police station. How you think the aid got there? You think they just swam into Jamaica? The government opened the airport. The government cleaned the road. The government escorted them. Don't talk nonsense. To ensure that all the people who you see out there who want to give aid to Jamaica, that they are able to do it. You think they come here without ensuring that there are security guarantees? Who you think gives them the security guarantees? You think the stock that they have just move automatically, just materialize where they are? How many convoys you see moving with the security forces carrying them through? Don't talk nonsense about there was no government presence. I want to give commendation to the police. The JCF needs special recognition in this disaster, because with roofs blown off, no electricity, they stood up. When I went to Black River, the police station was destroyed, nothing, they didn't have any electricity. one of my first order of business was to secure generators. I gave 4 generators to police stations. I don't go out and make this public because that's not my role or my job, but I did it just to make sure that there was a center of response. Yes. When we went into communities, we realized that all businesses were destroyed. And right now, we have stood up a program where we are supporting businesses re-emerging. The member from Eastern Westmoreland would know that we're going to help White House, that we have in White House both the Ministry of Investment and Commerce and the Factories Corporation. Their target, their response is to stand up businesses in those communities. No, man, they talk to you. Factories told me they talk to you. Factories told me they talk to you. Yes. I'm sure he will speak to you later. But I just want to point out that Black River, I tasked UDC to help to clean up Black River, and there's a plan to clean up Black River. UDC will do it. And all of this is within effectively days. Now, bear in mind, Mr. Speaker, we're doing relief because what people see as managing the hurricane is carrying a bag of food from point A to point B. And everybody is out there giving out food and taking pictures, and that's fine, that's great. We thank you, and we want you to continue to do that. What that does is to relieve the government of that task. But even so, the JDF, Mr. Speaker, is still packaging, has the capability to package 10,000 packages and send them out. And that's what they do constantly. They have a list of communities, along with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, where every day they are out there giving. Nobody's out there taking pictures with them and saying how great they are doing. But let's think about it. 900,000 people affected. About 40,000 houses flattened. Just multiply that by 3. Let's say 150,000 persons have been impacted. You believe that, you know, one organization here delivering package and one day it's going to solve that problem? How long they're going to do it for? What will have to be stood up to be able to carry this through for months? So we have to be strategic. Build out the hubs, which we have done. Then we build out substations, which we have done. And that logistics hub, which moves food through to stations and then to substations, that same logistics hub is going to move building materials to hubs and then into people. In the weeks to come, you're going to see the JDF transition from delivering packages. They will still have a presence, but they're going to transition now to help in the rebuilding of the houses for those people who are most in need. When this is studied, as it will be studied, when the history book is written, our response compared to others, and you can say compared to Katrina, compared to Irma, compared to others, Jamaica has done better than most. And I think it is unfair and unfortunate that there are those who would try to tear down Jamaica. When the history is written, we will know who are the ones who tore down Jamaica and who are the ones who are reconstructing Jamaica. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we have a very clear strategy to manage the disaster. Minimize human suffering. There's a lot of human suffering going on. I witnessed it personally, and you were on the front lines, and you saw it. I saw the impact it had on you. And we cannot deny that there are people who are suffering, who are exposed to the elements, wind and rain. That is the case, and we are working as best as possible to do it. You have to figure, are you going to do a general strategy that moves everyone, or are you going to be responding to everyone that is crying out, and you look like you're disorganized? We build a strategy. And that strategy is working, which is to have the JDF marshal the humanitarian response in support and in parallel with our entertainers, our churches, and the general citizens who want to help, that's a very important part of managing the humanitarian issues. While that is going on, let us manage recovery. Now, recovery is let us get our electricity back up, let us get our water back up, let us get our telecommunications back up, let us open up our roads, and let us get our businesses back up. Let's focus on those 5 things. At 74% return of electricity island-wide, let's look at St. James, major corridor, Montego Bay, electricity has started to return. In Hanover, in Westport and some parts, Negril, electricity starting to return, and the focus is on getting back the electricity as quickly as possible. Recovery. Get water back, so as electricity comes back, water comes back, but even before that, we are putting in the generators, which builds the resilience. Let's get that up. Get the businesses back up. Recovery. The idea is that during Christmas and that period, we want to accelerate the recovery. And then we enter reconstruction. And reconstruction is not just building back what was there, it's building it forward. Let's use the disaster as a means to induce growth in the economy. So let's do things that are going to create growth opportunities. Yes. And what I did today, in my presentation today, which is a report on what we did in the G20, is about doing that other part of the response to the disaster, which is the reconstruction. So we announced how we're going to manage the reconstruction with the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority. The next question is, how will it be funded? Well, that's what we have just done. We've just gone to the G20 to strategically try to find the funding so that the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority can work. So your question that you asked, if you don't do, when we said we're going to provide the details of the plan, that's what it is. That's why we have the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority. That is the detail of the plan. And you're not going to get the funding without having the details of the plan. And so that's what we have just said here. The details of the plan so that our stakeholders can say, yes, this makes sense. Yes, this looks like something we can fund. Yes, there is the management, there is the structure, there is the oversight, there is the accountability. Let's fund it. And that is where we are. So thank you, member, for opening the door for me to answer your questions.
Member from, you're yielding to the Westmoreland? Portland, are you yielding to Westmoreland?
I just have one question, if you're permitted. He's going this way. This was one question.
Eastern Portland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Prime Minister, you made the phrase "build forward better." Now, in that context of reconstruction, the idea of container homes as a temporary solution is raised. It's floating around. Is there a timeline for the use of the container homes? And in terms of the build forward better, is there a mechanism to which the government will be assisting those who probably don't have the funds to build the type of structure that you envision?
Concisely as I can. Because the question that you have asked requires an entire presentation, which we intend to come to Parliament with on housing. But you say container housing, I prefer to use the term modular housing. And you say temporary housing, some modular solutions are temporary, based upon how they are built. They may last a year or two, if so long. But other modular solutions can last up to 10, 15 years. And we consider those semi-permanent. So it really depends on the type and grading of housing that we bring in. There will be some temporary housing solutions which we intend to deploy to support those persons who have no housing, who are vulnerable, elderly, young mothers with family. And we will try to deploy those as quickly as possible. We do not have enough either temporary modular or semi-permanent modular housing on the island. So we have, between the NHT and the Ministry of Housing, we are developing the specs for the housing that we want, which we have done, and we are about to place orders to bring in houses. I'd announced that last week. It will take anywhere from 60 to 90 days. You know, I've heard estimates of you could get them here in 30 days, depending on where they are and prepositioning of stuff, but it's going to take some time. So you're not likely to see any either semi-permanent or temporary of the modular solutions for Christmas. So you're looking more mid to end of January. Right? That's where those are. So the temporary solutions, which we are now using, we're going to be now using the JDF supply line to deal with, would be tents, heavy-duty tarps, and shrink wrap for roofing. There's a solution of a thick plastic that is shrink wrapped on a housing solution that will provide temporary shelter. So that's what we're doing. In addition to, the member from Eastern Westmoreland would know that we have commitments from our partners to come in and assist. I don't know if the Guyanese are here as yet. So we have Guyana, we have Ethiopia, we have Ghana, and we will have Rwanda, and we will have others from the Caribbean. And I'm working on others as we speak. So you'll start to see teams that will be taking on communities. 250 in the first instance from Guyana. I've said those will go to Eastern Westmoreland, and when the others come, we will assign them to constituencies. The members of parliament will be able to recommend the houses, but we'll give some quota of recommendation to councillors, some quota of recommendation to churches, and then there will be a reserve for, which comes in from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, what their assessments have said. And I believe in that way, we would have covered all critical stakeholders who could have an input into who the beneficiaries are for those roof replacements. Right, so it would be just looking at the houses to say, yes, this house just needs to repair the roofing for 2 or 3 bedrooms or so, let's get cracking on that. But it would not be for rebuilding a house that is gone. All right?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hear somebody say, oh Lord, don't worry. Prime Minister, regardless of how we've campaigned against each other in the past, I wish you success in this matter, please. I wish you success in this matter, because your success is important to me and the people of Jamaica. Yes? I don't start from trying to do anything that will adversely affect the people of Jamaica. As a matter of fact, my concerns are indeed about the people of Jamaica that I have the privilege of representing. Now, I think there may be a little disconnect that is causing some of the issues. Because persons have made some accusations that I have defended you. You may be surprised to know, but I have defended you in saying that could not be so, right? Because in the middle of a disaster, I don't think it could be that way, right? When the ministers or the ministers of state goes out into a constituency and they don't inform or involve the elected official, that to me sows the seed of discord and causes that level of skepticism to arise. And so it may be your good office that you would need to use, sir, to say to them that when they are going out, they should ensure that they contact the persons that are duly elected and involve them in the process. So we don't find the need to suggest that the office is being circumvented or bypassing the process. That's one. Two, in terms of the distribution, I am grateful for every single thing that comes into the constituency because there is this great need for it. But what gives that perception, I think, that the member from Southwest was alluding to, is that you have people who are being benevolent. Their intentions are good, and they're coming into this space. But there isn't a location, say you're coming into White House, there isn't a team, say at White House Community Center, that logs what is coming in to say, all right, even though I am from Beeston Spring and I want to go to my community, my family and friends, we are not trying to commandeer it. The government, or myself as the MP, not saying to persons you can't go to your family and you can't assist them. What we're simply saying is that if there was a system that would log it to say 500 packages went there, then we would know that we don't need to duplicate that effort and that we need a 4-day window before we go to that community again. So I think it is some of that coordination that is needed, because in the PAAC meeting, Major Gale, I think it was, that said it's 116,000 packages that have been distributed. And that would have been for a 4-day period for the 120,000 families that you just mentioned. However, we've gone 20 a day, so you would have needed 5 cycles of it. So clearly other persons would have, what other persons are doing is certainly assisting. But it is the management of that process to streamline how those resources are coming in. Because what is happening, Prime Minister, is that if you live along those corridors that people come often, then you would have benefited repeatedly. But those that are shut in, elderly, infirm, disabled, in the more remote locations, you need to have that structure in place so that when things come, we can say, all right, this needs to go up into Left Wall, or this needs to go up into Kilmarnock, or New Works, or wherever it is in the inner land, so that those people can get that benefit every 4 or 5 days. So that's a simple system that I'll be asking for. But I just want to be on record as saying that this has to be all hands on deck. This has to be a response that takes the input from not just us as politicians, but it has to take the input of, as you said not long ago, of other stakeholders, church, community groups, and other persons who have the interests of Jamaica at heart as to how we get aid to those persons that are in need. I too am not a specialist in disaster, but I've had to be learning. And I've just said food, water, shelter, medical care, and then we try to get back some persons to their livelihood. And, just trying to work through that process to ensure that we can assist some persons. PM, there are still persons in my own constituency that are without tarpaulins. And so if I come out and I make a comment, it is not intended. Certainly, I'm not stupid. I'm not saying something that is going to affect more relief coming to the people, whether from locally or internationally. I'm not doing anything to that. It is simply trying to outline what is going on and saying that there are persons here that are living in a certain condition and we need a little bit more assistance for them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to welcome the comments of the member from Westmoreland Eastern. I think I would describe it as a watershed moment in the debate on disaster response. And I welcome your comments, sir. Now, just to say, member, that the complaints you have had regarding coordination are complaints on this side as well. My MPs quarrel with me vociferously about people just turning up, even government entities just turning up and they are unaware. Even ministers turning up and they are unaware. Same complaints. So I would never tell you that we have a perfect coordination. Now, ODPEM is to be the entity that coordinates the disaster. That's what it is. So It was formerly ODP, Office of Disaster Preparedness, which is to just get ready for the disaster. But then I believe it would have been, after Hurricane Gilbert, it became the Office of Emergency Management as well, managing after the disaster. Now, at the level of NGOs, there is some coordination that goes on in the sense that, okay, you're assigned here, you're assigned to Black River, you can go here, we will give you warehousing space here, and you operate. So, but at the level of someone just coming into the space and saying, hey, I want to contribute, the only kind of organization and the only way to capture that we have is to say, if the stuff is coming in and you say you're bringing it through ADPEM, then there is a process to clear it and you can get certain benefits. Now, from that point, there should be built on more management where we require people to register and let us know where they're going. The problem with that is that the well has been so poisoned that people believe that the government is coming to steal your stuff or to take away. And you find that there is genuinely resistance to giving the government or giving information, including collecting information about who received packages. So we have taken a decision that we are not collecting any information from persons who have received packages. However, that cannot continue forever. I'm sure when the PAAC meets, the question is going to be asked of the permanent secretary and the other officers who received the 116,000 packages. We won't be able to answer it because the very people who said, you know, you're asking us for IDs and we're suffering. We can't continue with it like this. So at some point, a system will have to be put in place. And we can't keep packaging stuff and moving it. We really need to move that back to the private sector, where it has been done for decades, for hundreds of years. Wholesalers, retailers, corner shops, they package stuff and sell it. What the government should be doing is giving you a coupon or a debit card with cash on it, as it's done all over the world, and you go to the shop and you buy your stuff. But to do that, we need to stand up back the shops, and that's what we're doing. So this system that is going on now, of everybody going into communities and throwing out bags and people getting, which does compromise the dignity of communities and the dignity of people in need, we need to end that very quickly. And that's what we're trying to do. So the JDF is going to transition its distribution network from food to materials to support the teams that are coming in to build. Because, you know, if you have 100,000 sheets of ply, you have to secure them. You need to have trucks to move them, or zinc, or whatever it is. So you see why that supply chain and that storage is necessary. And that's why the JDF is in charge of that, to manage, because it is going to come in, and we are going to need to manage it. And so, you know, we don't want to have to be competing with food or, you know, having zinc. So what we want to do is to move the food and stuff back to where it was normally distributed through the normal shops and so forth, and then have the JDF now start to do some of the rebuilding. When the MPs, when the ministers are going out, remember, just to be clear, the ministers of state and other ministers and senators and so, they have their official duties. When they're on official duty, it is the protocol, and it is established on my side, and I'm certain on your side, that the official minister, when you're on official duty, you should call. So if you're going to visit a school, if you're going to visit a church or the courthouse or whatever, the member of parliament should be notified. But the MPs have private lives, and they want to do some private things, the ministers, and so sometimes they're out. I've seen the videos where they have introduced themselves as Minister so-and-so. But I'm certain they weren't visiting a school or visiting, you know, a government entity. Right? So if they are out on if they are out doing their private business, that's fine. But if they are out and they are going to a public entity or a government entity, it is the protocol that is well established and must be respected that the MP ought to be notified, whether it is the opposition MP or the government MP. I don't want anybody coming into my constituency without telling me if they're coming for official business.
Just a matter of housekeeping. I was just reliably informed by the Minister of Gender Affairs that the blue ribbon that is pinned to your jacket that you should, sorry, purple, have me excuse, that you should wear it for 16 days, and those persons who are not in receipt of one, that you can take one from her. So for the next 16 days, you're asked to wear that on your lapel. Member from Centre and Southeastern.
Yeah, but I didn't turn my mic on at 9. Prime Minister, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing us to have this conversation. I'll make it quick. But I'll start with the fact that we've gone through the food phase and we agree that it's not in keeping with the dignity of people in the way that we'd want it. And I have had the experience of working in emergencies. I know the cards work. And so as we move to the next phase, I would suggest that we do not repeat that error. And instead of going to having supplies delivered, why don't we introduce the cards? Why don't we go that way now, allowing people to have a card with a set value which they can use? Yes, so I'm saying, so let's do that instead of, because we're talking about the issues of supplies and the use of the JDF. I am listening. I'm saying let's make that, Mr. Speaker, let's make that the priority now. I know you want to go on, but hear me out. The second thing has to do with, there is obviously a great measure of distrust, for want of a better word. A distrust, I'm not sure where the source is, Prime Minister, but it exists. It exists, and that's what I think you are responding to. And for us, for us to deny that it exists is to continue it. For it to ignore it is to allow it to fester. So my question then is, how is it that we're going to manage, how is it that we're going to reduce that level of distrust? And it's not limited to our people only. It's not restricted only to our people. It is also evident in terms of our ability to bring some of the private players to provide services in the response. So it is there. It is also reflected in where people are putting their resources. That is a sign of distrust. And it has nothing to do with the government of the day. It's a broader issue which we have to deal with. Now, the other thing is that the other thing which we need to focus on, and which you spoke about, is we do need to ensure that we have strong oversight. So don't expect people to trust without actually showing them why they should trust, without bringing them in. And so the question is, what mechanisms of oversight?
Please, stop a minute.
Of oversight?
The member is rising on a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to know what is the question the member is putting to the most honorable Prime Minister, because based on the Prime Minister's comments, so far the member has not asked a question as it relates to the Prime Minister's presentation. So I'd like to know, and the member must be aware it's 9 o'clock.
Thanks, member. It is for that reason that I turn your mic off, if you notice, because you were going on and I was trying to stop you. You need to get to the question. You're going to ask a question now.
the standards have changed in the last 10 minutes because we've been having a conversation.
Member, you're going to ask a question or not? Please. No, you're not going to say. Turn your mic on and you're going to ask a question directly, or else.
Mr. Speaker, will you protect me from
I'm only going to protect you if you're asking a question.
So here's the question. Here's the question. What mechanisms of oversight are we putting in place, and oversight which includes broad public participation? One. Secondly, how will the Parliament, including the opposition, as well as members of the public, participate in the Reconstruction and Resilience Program, which the Prime Minister announced? Those are the two additional questions. Thank you, Speaker.
Member from Southeast, Sentan, for the two questions. So let's look at the one on trust, but it is also tied to the systems of accountability and transparency. Mr. Speaker, I'm a firm believer in the state, and I'm a firm believer in ensuring that the state has powers to be used for the benefit of the people. And the powers of the state must be such that its use can be questioned, that those who have power and authority must report, that there is openness and transparency in government, and that systems are in place to secure those. In our system, Parliament is an oversight body. We tend to want to depreciate the value of parliamentary oversight, primarily because it does have a high political motivation, but that does not remove the obligation or duty of Parliament for oversight. So before I tend to diminish Parliament, the idea is to strengthen Parliament, because Parliament is the people's representative who have been elected to stand here and ask questions and make laws. So we must never feel that we don't have the power of oversight. And so I'm very worried when parliamentarians stand up and say, somebody else must look over us. Then why were you elected, if not to look over the people's business? No, but I'm giving you my answer. So I have never in any way abdicated my duty when I was opposition leader, minister, or prime minister, to act in the best interest and to oversee the public's duty, the public's business. I found that that was my duty. So the first line of oversight of the government must be the Parliament. So when this whole matter was brought to us about how are we going to oversee what was happening, I said, well, let's form an oversight committee, a special committee, as we did in COVID. And it worked brilliantly. There was no issue. In COVID, I ended up having to use executive powers, meaning powers that did not have to necessarily go through all the rigors of use of parliamentary oversight. But I still took it here. Yes. Every measure, when it was announced, we took it here and it was debated, and if needed to be changed, we changed. Because I just felt it was important that the use of executive authority still must have the oversight of Parliament. So I'm a firm believer that parliamentary oversight is the first stop in the business of transparency. I was quite disappointed when the opposition said, well, no, they won't participate in that. What they will do is use the PAAC. I said, fine. I have no problem with that. If you want to use the PAAC, which is to give general oversight to all the operations of government and not give specific oversight to the operations of the disaster, if that's how you want to do it, I don't have a problem with that. So let's do it that way, but let there be parliamentary oversight. Now, our democracy has evolved in the 90s to establish something called a social partnership. And the social partnership has been very useful, a very useful mechanism in giving oversight to politically contested, to highly political contested initiatives in the society. The social partnership has been very effective in giving oversight to the economic program of the 2000s, which we all benefit from now in establishing fiscal discipline and fiscal responsibility. EPOC, part of that social partnership. But we have an established social partnership. So as we establish the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, I intend to use the social partnership to continue to give the kind of oversight. I don't need to go and recreate and reinvent the wheel and go outside of what is the established procedures and systems that have worked. That have worked. But outside of that, we must use technology to give openness, transparency, and access. So we have said to ODPEM, which is the focal point of the relief, which is one of the shortcomings of the institution before. They did not have an inventory management system. In short order, they have put one together. It is up and running. We need to go through the testing phase. And I've already said to them that once it is established, it's up and running, and you're sure there's not going to be any errors that will undermine its credibility, then we'll give you a public dashboard. So any member of the public can go on and see what ODPEM has in store, what it has given out, and who has gotten it. That's the best way. So that everybody who wants to say who is stealing what, and we'll have the data there to show that none of the nonsense that they are talking about is true. We have also said, no, but a large part of the undermining of the trust. You know, I see a member from that side saying, you know, you've gotten so many generators and this and that, and where have they gone? The point is, member, that we need to show the public everything that we have gotten and how it has been spent. That's one level of accountability and transparency. But when we talk about accountability, we only talk about accountability in the accounting sense. You got $1 and you spent $1. We now need to talk about accountability in the efficiency or in the economic sense. Why did you spend the $1 on this when you could have spent it on something else that would yield greater result? We're not at that stage yet. The public doesn't necessarily look at accountability in that sense. All right? So we also need to give the public confidence that the decisions that we are making, though they may not seem, you know, in the first instance to make sense, but with further review and analysis, you will see that they make even greater sense, like taking generators and just giving it to people, rather than take the generators and build resilience in our public institutions, which makes greater sense. Or do we take the 600 generators, and how do you give it to the 150,000 people or the 48,000? It don't make sense. Right? So what I'm saying is, it's one thing to account for 600 generators. It's the next thing to say, how are you going to use them efficiently? That's another level of accountability. We need to take our people and explain to them, because many of them don't understand it. And we encourage a lot of the foolishness that people are saying. So you talk about trust, member. We have a duty to say to our constituents, look, stop this foolishness. It is undermining the society. We all have a duty. I want to thank members for participating in this debate. I thought that this was probably the best debate we have had in this matter, and I want to thank members for participating.
That was a paid rebroadcast of the Prime Minister's presentation in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light. And I held firm. Like a rock, I was strong as I could be. Like a rock, nothing ever.
Nationwide 90 FM, continuing the tradition of fair, fearless, and factual reporting. You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is...
It's a minute after 12.
It's credible and factual. The World at Noon on Nationwide 90 FM.
A very good afternoon to you. I'm Ricardo Brooks. Coming up in the World at Noon for Thursday, November 27, 2025. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says hurricane recovery assistance from multilateral partners will most likely be debt-based. MSME Alliance welcomes move by the DBJ to launch an $11 billion program to assist small businesses. The Health Minister is urging members of the public to cooperate with vector control workers in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa.
The vector workers are in your interest, in the community's interest, and we encourage you to please have a conversation if you feel uncertain about something.
The Labour Ministry has dismissed claims that it has been distributing relief supplies along partisan lines. In regional news, the head of Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council has denied U.S. claims he's supporting gangs. In international news, France unveils a military program for youth volunteers. And in sports this afternoon, Sammy optimistic West Indies will break three-decade-long wait for Test glory in New Zealand. The details after the break.
The News at Noon teasers are brought to you by AnyBet, your best bet. The Midday News is brought to you by Total Tools. Every tool, every trade.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Jackhammer. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. With 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now the details. It remains to be seen what form the financial assistance from Jamaica's multilateral development partners will take as the country works to recover from Hurricane Melissa. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says it will most likely be debt-based.
It will be a mix of things, but clearly most of it would be debt. Now, it all depends on what kind of debt. Is it concessional debt? Is it long-term debt? Is it debt that is linked specifically to reconstruction? Is it debt that we can use to support private initiative and private sector? Is it support in de-risking some of these products? So it's going to be a blend of approaches to support and finance the recovery effort.
The Prime Minister was speaking with Bloomberg TV on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Johannesburg on Sunday. Bloomberg posted the segment of the interview on YouTube on Wednesday. Dr. Holness met with several world leaders to advocate for and mobilize international support for the shortfall in the funds available for the country's recovery. The Prime Minister says international funding needs to be more accessible for countries exposed to the risks of climate change.
I think a lot has been said about climate financing. But I do agree with you, much more needs to be done in terms of making funding more accessible, which has always been a significant challenge, just accessing, and in developed countries keeping their commitment to funding some of the initiatives in climate change and resilience building. For small countries like Jamaica, we don't see climate change as an academic discourse. Climate change is a reality. We're seeing more intense, more frequent and overlapping weather events. The change in the climate is having an impact on the balance sheets of countries.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, he was speaking with Bloomberg TV's Jennifer Zabasja. The Micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprise MSME Alliance has welcomed the move by the Development Bank of Jamaica DBJ to launch an $11 billion program to assist small businesses recover from the impact of Hurricane Melissa. President of the Alliance, Antoinette Hamilton, was a guest on Nationwide at 5 yesterday.
Let me commend the Managing Director for his approach to finding solutions for MSMEs. His approach is very inclusive because he has always invited us to get our feedback on what we think about their plans. In terms of the package is very good, especially the working capital support. That was not a part of their package before, and so that is something new, and that would definitely help MSMEs. The refinancing option, that is also very good because what it means is that persons who have high interest rate facilities can come in and refinance to get a more affordable monthly repayment. So that is excellent. And I've seen where they have increased the threshold from 30 million in terms of a loan to now 50 million.
The DBJ program, titled M5, is expected to give businesses a boost as they resume commercial activity. It will offer loans of up to $50 million with a repayment period of 10 years. It's expected to target industries such as agriculture, manufacturing, distribution, and tourism. A grant program will also be established to boost resilience. Hamilton says the DBJ should make access easy.
I would suggest to the Managing Director that in deciding how the grant works, consider not letting it be too onerous for MSMEs to qualify, especially those that are badly affected by Melissa. Previously, grants were structured in a way that you had to produce certain requirements to even access it, just the same. We're saying, given the situation now, we're not expecting those requirements to be onerous because the truth is, yes, you're promoting innovation, but at this point, our small businesses need inventory. They just need to get back on their feet.
Antoinette Hamilton, the president of the MSME Alliance. Meanwhile, president of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, Catherine Silvera, says umbrella associations will have to ensure their members can access the benefits.
We just need to ensure that these loans are helped by the different associations like the JMEA and the MSME Alliance, because what we find is the businesses that need it the most are the ones that don't necessarily meet all of the requirements. And especially in this time, we want to make sure that the hand-holding is there to ensure that our micro and small members really get the support and the access to the loans that they need.
She recommends that interest rates associated with DBJ loans be lowered.
I do, strongly encourage and advocate that the DBJ works with these banks to try and get the interest rates as low as possible, because that is really what our affected businesses need at this time, especially our micro and small members. They can't be paying higher interest rates to rebuild their business.
That's Catherine Silvera, president of the JMEA. Vector control activities have been undertaken in over 900 communities across the island since the passage of Hurricane Melissa. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton made the disclosure at a media briefing via Zoom today.
The target for November was to visit and conduct larvicidal and frogging in some 500 communities. As of November 2025, some 907 communities have been visited and received larvicidal treatment, which includes treatment of groundwater and container habitats. Of that 907, some 68% of these are from those identified as high risks, communities. Additionally, some 365 communities have been fogged, representing some 73% of the total number of communities targeted for the period.
The health minister says 950 vector control workers have been deployed across the island.
Currently, some 950 vector control workers are deployed by the ministry, 344 temporary workers, and 606 permanent workers. The ministry also provided the most affected parishes with equipment and machinery to bolster the response. So these include some 13 thermal foggers, 8 ULV machines, 15 drums of insecticides, 70 boxes of larvicides, and also spray pumps.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, the health minister. Meanwhile, Dr. Tufton is urging members of the public to cooperate with vector control workers. There was an incident in Silo St. Elizabeth on November 18 where 2 vector control workers were forced to seek medical attention after being struck by stones reportedly flung by residents.
We have received some reports about vector workers being attacked by residents who are in one way or the other offended either by the fumigation or by their presence. We just want to use the opportunity to urge members that the vector workers are acting in your interests, in the community's interests, in your health and safety interests, and we encourage you to please have a conversation if you feel uncertain about something, and we can find a way to work together for the benefit of the best health of the community. They should have their identification, so that should not be an issue. And if you don't see it, you can ask for it.
Dr. Christopher Tufton. Come home, Kenya. That's the emotional plea from a mother searching for her 14-year-old daughter. Kenya Wilson, who is a ward of the state, is alleged to have absconded the Granville Place of Safety in Falmouth, Trelawney on Thursday, November 20. Robin Williams has the story.
We have not found Kenya. If you see her at all, please don't be afraid to make a scene. Bring attention. And if we can hold on to her, bring her to the police station. Contact me, please, and let me know. But she has not been found.
It's a news no parent would want to hear. A missing child. Yet this is the reality of Carol Bennett. Carol says her family has been living in distress since Kenya disappeared.
We are very worried. We're very concerned. We're saddened. Our family is just in a state of unrest and unease. It's not easy knowing that your 14-year-old child is just out roaming, and especially over that side of the island. You know, there is still no light in some places, no communication. It's just your mind. But for me, my mind wanders all over the place thinking, all the possibilities of what can happen, and it's just very unsettling. It doesn't matter if she ran away, if she was kidnapped, a child, a minor is still missing.
Carol says a missing person report has been filed at the Falmouth police station. She notes that the family has mounted its own search, posting appeals on social media, visiting police stations, and combing communities for any trace of the teen. At one point, someone reported a possible sighting, but that lead yielded no results. Carol is also alleging that there was neglect on the part of the state. She is alleging the facility was poorly secured.
The report is that my daughter went missing at 11 a.m. and I was not notified until almost 7 p.m. of that same day, Thursday. And it was the social worker that called me to say that Kenya had escaped from the facility. I am very, very, very saddened about it. I feel as if the facility has just given up. They don't have any regard. No one has even contacted me since. No one has offered any help, any suggestions, not even a phone call to say, how are you doing? What can we do? There's nothing. It's just dead silence. And I'm really concerned about it because the silence speaks volume. It's downright neglect. Whether it's intentional or not, it's neglect.
Our news center has reached out to the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, the CPFSA, to respond to the claims. Up to news time, we have still not received a response from the agency. Ms. Bennett made a direct appeal to her missing daughter.
I want her to know that I love her very much and I need her to come home. I need her to try and find me. If she can make her way to Kingston, she knows how to find me. She knows my number. I just really need you back home, Kenya. I need you back home.
Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Kenya Wilson is asked to contact her mother at 876-336-5914 or 876-235-8077 or the nearest police station. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Thanks, Robian. Now, the president of the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, the BITU, Senator Cavan Gale, says the management of the Bahia Group of Hotels is being asked to forgive loans held by workers facing termination as the properties close for a year-long program of refurbishing.
Critical also would have been a situation where some employees would have had financial obligations in the form of loans or outstanding payments due to the hotel. We have asked for a waiver of that. And we have also requested the first right of recall for our members once the hotel resumes. This is an intention that it's consistent with established treatment of workers during any temporary closure in the industry.
The hotel group had originally planned to close the Bahia Principe Grand Jamaica and Bahia Principe Luxury for a $15 billion renovation exercise. But then Hurricane Melissa hit the country, causing extensive damage to both properties. The hotel's management has assessed the damage at 850 million Jamaican dollars. These developments have resulted in the indefinite closure of both resorts and will now see nearly 2,000 staff members losing their job. Senator Gale says he's optimistic the hotel will do right by the workers following a meeting between the parties at the Labor Ministry on Friday.
The parties on Friday will have to resume those discussions at the Ministry of Labor. The hotel has indicated that they have received our proposals. They would have to discuss those proposals with their principals and get back to us. So we hope and anticipate that good sense will prevail. And so our request for an enhanced separation package will be accepted favorably on behalf of the workers we are representing.
That's Senator Cavan Gale. He's the president of the BITU. Now, the People's National Party, PNP, has cancelled its annual party conference. The General Secretary of the party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, says they will instead focus on relief efforts in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa.
We had a meeting of the officers and a meeting of the executive of the party as well. And the decision essentially is to cancel the conference for this year. We will take that decision to the NEC end of this month in December for it to be ratified. This is certainly a time that our focus is on the nation and the impact of the hurricane and how we recover. This is not a time that we are having internal party matters, especially in the public space. The rest of the annual regional conferences that were to sort out some of the positions that we have. In the instances where we had only one nominee for a position, we just have the straight change. And the instances where we had more than one, we'll have discussions with those to see if we can reach to a consensus.
That's Dr. Dayton Campbell, the PNP General Secretary. In regional news now, the head of Haiti's Transitional Presidential Council is rejecting claims by the United States that he supports gangs and criminal organizations in the French-speaking Caribbean country. He says the allegations are false and misleading. The U.S. recently announced visa restrictions targeting a Haitian government official for allegedly supporting gangs and obstructing Haiti's fight against terrorist gangs. The State Department did not name the official in its release, but multiple reports, including from the Associated Press, has identified the head of the Transitional Council as the target. In France, President Emmanuel Macron has announced that a limited form of military service will be introduced next year. The new program comes 25 years after conscription was phased out. Macron made the announcement at a military base in the French Alps on Thursday. He says the service is meant to bolster the country's armed forces to address growing concerns over Russia's threat to European nations beyond the war in Ukraine. Under the program, youth volunteers will serve in uniform for 10 months in mainland France and its overseas territories, not in military operations abroad. The national service will start with 3,000 youth. It's set to increase to 50,000 per year by 2035. Macron says the number is subject to adjustment based on global realities. That's the news in the world at noon. Sports is next.
The Midday News was brought to you by Total Tools. Every tool, every trade. Success powered by learning. The Time brought to you by Sandals Corporate University. Come grow with us is...
It's 21 minutes after 12.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
What is the
For more
TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently. But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake.
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, up-to-the-minute local and international sports news, this is the Nationwide Sports at Noon.
Good afternoon and welcome to your lunchtime sports report. I'm Maureen Buchanan. West Indies all-format coach Darren Sammy says despite losing the 2 white ball series against New Zealand, he's optimistic the team will raise its level in the 3-match test series. West Indies lost the T20 series 3-1 and the ODIs 3-0. With 4 days to go before the start of the first test in Christchurch, Sammy says preparations are going well.
Obviously, the series, we created so many opportunities to win. When I look at the 7 games that were played, we were in contention to win 5 of them. We let it slip away, but credit must go to New Zealand, you know, how they've made home a fortress. But I was quite impressed with the positives that we had coming out of that series. Now, you know, the test match arena, and we've not won here since 1995. I'm thinking that's about 30 years, you know, so we have a challenge on our hands. But I was just saying these guys prepared. The intensity at training today is something that we've spoken about.
Sammy added that the mindset of the team is positive and he believes the West Indies have the tools to end a 3-decade wait for a victory in New Zealand.
We might not have, you know, the numbers behind us coming into New Zealand, but I think the mindset that we have here and what we're trying to create is good, and it boils down to execution, a word I've been using from my career, my playing days, my captaincy days. You execute well here in New Zealand. One thing we've shown over here, we challenge them. In the T20 series, in the ODI series, I don't think the result reflected on how we played. So again, it's the test series. Being able to survive and challenge the new ball, you know, with both bat and ball, you know, and being able to make critical decisions or better decisions.
Darren Sammy. Meanwhile, the 2-day tour match between the West Indies and the New Zealand Board 11 ended as expected in a draw on Thursday morning in Lincoln. The West Indies declared on their overnight 346 for 5, then dismissed the select side for 264. Johan Lane ended with 3 wickets, while Jamel Warrican and Kavim Hodge collected 2 apiece. Cam Paul made 91 for the Board 11 and Mohamed Abbas 61 as they put on 136 for the 4th wicket. This is the only warm-up game for West Indies ahead of their first test against New Zealand in Christchurch starting next Tuesday. Now to football, as Theodore Whitmore, head coach of Mount Pleasant, stated that there are a few areas in which he believes a Senton-based team can improve ahead of their second leg clash with the Universidad O&M in the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup. Mount Pleasant will take a 1-0 lead into next Tuesday's fixture at the National Stadium.
So it's for us now to really go back home and do our homework. We have some stuff to take care of. So without giving away anything, we'll be ready for the next time. So it's just for us to go away next week and pull it off.
According to Whitmore, he wasn't entirely pleased with how the attackers performed in front of goal. Hence, that's an area he hopes to tighten during training sessions leading up to next week's fixture.
Well, I think it would have to be in the final third, our decision making, our execution. That's going to be the key for the next tie. Well, it would mean a lot to we as a club, the technical staff, the management, the owner, the Senton people at large, and Jamaica people at large. I think we deserve it.
Goalkeeper Theodore Whitmore. Goalkeeper Leah Brooks has been drafted into Jamaica National Senior Women's Football Squad ahead of their opening 2027 Women's FIFA World Cup qualifier match against Dominica, set for the Darren Sammy Stadium on Saturday. Team officials say Brooks' inclusion strengthens Jamaica's defensive unit at a pivotal moment as the squad looks to set an early tone in Group B. The Reggae Girls have been drawn into a competitive group and will continue their qualifying journey with an away fixture against Nicaragua on March 2, 2026. They will then return home for two crucial encounters, April 10 against Antigua and Barbuda, followed by April 18 against Guyana. Brooks' addition signals Jamaica's intent to field their strongest possible lineup as they chase a third consecutive World Cup appearance. The Jamaica Anti-Doping Commission, JADCO, is strengthening its role in the global fight against doping through a partnership with the Anti-Doping Agency of Lithuania. The two organizations have signed a Memorandum of Understanding facilitated by the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA. The agreement aims to boost cooperation between national anti-doping bodies with a focus on intelligence gathering, investigation, and education. It is one of the three partnerships under WADA's initiative to create a network connecting Latin America, the Caribbean, and Europe. The others link Ecuador with Serbia and Peru with Greece. WADA says the project is designed to build capacity across participating nations by sharing regional and global expertise. JADCO's Executive Director, June Spence Jarrett, calls the agreement with Lithuania a major milestone for Jamaica, noting it will enhance intelligence-led investigations and expand anti-doping education.
JADCO is proud to join this WADA-supported network that encourages cross-regional cooperation and innovation. Partnerships like these are essential to building a stronger, more unified global anti-doping community.
She says the partnership underscored JADCO's commitment to transparency, fairness, and the long-term protection of clean sport.
Through this partnership, both organizations will share expertise, experience, and best practices which will enhance our ability to conduct intelligence-led investigations and deliver effective anti-doping education.
June Spence Jarrett, WADA will monitor the implementation of all three MOUs as the organizations participate in joint activities throughout the year, an effort that signals growing global unity in safeguarding the integrity of sport. For more than 2 decades, the Reggae Marathon, Jamaica's premier road race event, has proven that its influence stretches far beyond its finish line. Now celebrating its 25th staging and its first in Kingston, the event continues to deepen its impact on youth development, particularly through its long-standing support for schools and student athletes across the island. This year's event is set for December 7th. Alric Swaby tells us more.
From its inception, the event's organizing body, the Jam Dammers Running Club, has prioritized giving back to the community. Since 2008, the Reggae Marathon has expanded its school championship by awarding technology prizes to top-performing schools. What began with desktop computers now includes laptops and other digital learning resources. Over the past 15 years, the initiative has delivered nearly $7 million in technology equipment and more than $3 million in cash prizes to almost 20 schools across Jamaica, including Homo Technical, St. Jago, Belfield, Mavis Bank, Jamaica College, Vere Technical, Edwin Allen, and Rosees High. These contributions have helped schools upgrade their computer labs and provide hundreds of students with access to modern technology that supports academic success. Many athletes have also benefited directly, using these resources to improve their schoolwork alongside their training. Additionally, students receive Gentle One running shoes donated by adult athletes, an initiative introduced after organizers noticed some young participants running barefoot. By sustaining its investment in education, the Reggae Marathon continues to affirm its belief that Jamaica's youth are the champions of tomorrow. The event's annual contributions blend sport, technology, and education, empowering young people to excel on and off the track. Alric Swaby reporting for Nationwide Sports.
Thanks, Alric. And now to finish off sport, the Toronto Raptors. They made it 9 straight victories in the NBA after clipping the Indiana Pacers 117-115 on Wednesday night at the Scotiabank Arena. The Raptors were led by the man nicknamed the notorious BI3, Brandon Ingram, who scored 26 points, including the game-winning basket. Teammate Scotty Barnes held his own with 24.
Siakam, the former Raptor, up top. Won a title with him in 2019. Step through, denied by his former teammate Pirtle. Here's quickly, 12 seconds.
Timeout, use it. Oh, they're going to let him play.
They're going to let him go. Here's Ingram. Brandon Ingram. Yes, he did. Notorious B.I.3.
Ingram said he knew defender Pascal Siakam wasn't going to stop him from draining that game winner. He added that he loves the confidence that his coach Darko Rajakovic has in him.
Well, first I knew he was in foul trouble, and I knew he didn't want to be overly aggressive, so he was at my mercy at that point, and just wanted to be super aggressive. I saw him kept backing up, and, I just kept being aggressive and getting to my spots. Yeah, it means a lot, He, like I said, he's the leader of our team. He brings the energy every single day, and he's been very transparent with what he wants on the basketball floor, so for him to let the go-ahead basket go, it's confidence for me, but it's trust. It's trust between the two.
Brandon Ingram, the boyfriend of popular rap star Glorilla. Those are your stories making a lunchtime sports report. We'll be here again at 5:25 later this evening. Until then, stay tuned, stay glued, and stay locked into Nationwide at 90 FM.
Contact the Cannabis Licensing Authority at 876-562-0591 or visit their website at cla.gov.jm. The time by the Cannabis Licensing Authority. Building an industry, cultivating responsibly is
12:33.
For a limited time, Home International Limited is offering a special price on select Korean colors. You can't miss this. Choose Korean for your kitchen or bathroom countertops. Korean is durable, beautiful, and long-lasting. Solid right through and no sealing necessary. Visit us at 104 Constant Spring Road or telephone 876-755-1970 or 276-6448. Open Mondays to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Help you take a better route. Become a mentor in the Ministry of Justice Child Diversion Program. To become a mentor, you must be a Jamaican citizen over 18 years old, literate, with at least a secondary level education, have at least 1 year working experience, be willing to volunteer for at least 1 year, and be non-partisan, confidential, and a person of integrity. Download the application form at moj.gov.jm and submit to any child diversion office island-wide. For more details, call the ministry at 888-JUSTICE. That is 888-587-8423. Help a youth take a better route. Join the Child Diversion Mentorship Program today.
Recapping our top stories making the world at noon. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says hurricane recovery assistance from multilateral partners will most likely be debt-based. The MSME Alliance is welcoming a move by the DBJ to launch an $11 billion program to assist small businesses. And a mother is searching for her 14-year-old daughter. and has issued an emotional appeal for her return. I'm Ricardo Brooks. You can find the news on our website at rivanews.ai and on the Riva News app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. Major news next at 5. Good afternoon.
MSME operators, the NWC MSME Amnesty is a lifeline. Grab it. Apply between September 1 and November 30, 2025. Visit nwcjamaica.com. Email us at customercare@nwc.com.jm. You can also visit any commercial office or dial 888-NWC. Get a 50% debt write-off on your small commercial account if you pay all other outstanding debts or sign a payment agreement to do so in 3 months. Apply today.
Run for Rights, give for relief. Join Jamaicans for Justice at the Run for Rights 5K Run Walk, November 30, 6 a.m. sharp at the Police Officers Club, Kingston. Choose your cause: human rights, child rights, climate justice, or ending gender-based violence. Only $2,500 to enter. Medals, trophies, and more. Register now at my.raceresult.com/355144. Part proceeds in aid of hurricane relief. You can bring your essential items on race day. Every donation counts. Call 876-239-7583 for details. St. James, we're coming to you. This Friday, November 28th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., the nationwide team continues our Rebuilding Jamaica Post-Melissa Relief OB series, broadcasting live from Anchovy High School and Cornwall College. Come share your stories, talk with our hosts, reconnect with loved ones on air, and let Jamaica hear how St. James is standing strong, rebuilding it together. We'll be on location distributing care packages with our partners, the National Health Fund and the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, providing free health screenings and assisting with filling prescriptions. And to you, our listeners, we're asking for donations of non-perishable food items, cleaning supplies, hygiene products, diapers, and solar-powered lights, items that bring comfort and hope to families rebuilding after Hurricane Melissa. Every donation counts. Every act of kindness matters. Nationwide 90 FM, helping to rebuild Jamaica one community at a time. This outreach is made possible by our partners, NHF, OPM, Petrojam, Airport Authority, LMH Publishing, Ministry of Health and Wellness, NSWMA, Phoenix Vision, Kuna Caribbean Insurance, Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and Region 4 of the Ministry of Education. Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We are having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM. Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour, fired.
Also tune in to the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie Man. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
Our phone numbers are 630-9371, 630-9372, 630-9373, and 630-9374.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light. And I held firm to what I felt was right, like a rock. Like a rock.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, good afternoon. It's 20 minutes going up to 1 o'clock, and this has been quite an abbreviated version of Cliff Hughes Online today, and we had that paid rebroadcast of the Prime Minister's presentation to the Parliament on Tuesday. Well, the lead of the program this morning was that act of vandalism, a wicked act in Bonham Spring in St. Anne, where the JPS had recently restored power to several communities, including Bonham Spring, Refuge Hill, Hand to Mouth, and some evil mind, person, whoever you are, you know yourself, you're a wicked, demented soul. A wicked, demented soul. Yes? That's who you are. You know yourself. You can't hide from yourself. Went and destroyed the pole, sawing it off from the base, toppling it, and as a result, hundreds of JPS customers who were only recently restored to the grid lost power again. Not to mention the cost of replacing the pole. You know? And our hearts go out to the residents of the surrounding areas affected, but also to the staff and linesmen at the JPS who have been working tirelessly under pressure from us to restore the power. You know? And I'm going to show you a video of what the JPS linesmen have to contend with in their efforts to restore our power. Take a look at this, yeah? And listen.
1, 2, 3! Rajoute un 50 livres. Oui, Sam, c'est trop plaisant, mais c'est un peu. Moi, c'est correct, c'est la chose. It took you guys 6 hours. We were sitting down there waiting for you to get out of the way.
That's how they do it in Jamaica.
What we're looking at, for those who are not seeing it, yes, easily about 10, 15 JPS linesmen physically lifting and carrying on their shoulders a utility pole in some wooded area of Jamaica. Yeah, it is not accessible by road, so they literally have to move the pole. Yeah, in unison, and that's about 15, 20 of them have to be doing that. That gives an indication of the kind of arduous task these men and women have had to be doing to restore the power. Yes? And when someone is going to deliberately destroy the pole from the base, if that person has any conscience, they will identify themselves and stand the consequences of their actions. Nothing short of criminal behavior. To the JPS linesmen and women, no woman no do lines work. They're only men? Okay. So to the JPS crew out there doing the heavy lifting, and that is heavy lifting that they're doing, and you'll see them in that video doing. That's heavy lifting. Yeah? Just take a look at this. How many of us would do this? Going uphill. Huh? Very few of us. All right. Time for the break.
My eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose. My steps were quick and light. And I held firm to what I felt was right, like a rock.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jack on my figure, dig the wall. Upper total tools. Weed whacker figure, trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total tools. We rent them, sell them, and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Outer Rias, 34 Slibe Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Our phone numbers are 630-9371, 630-9372, 630-9373, and 630-9374.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light. And I held firm.
13 minutes going up to 1 o'clock. Papa Nana, good afternoon.
We're glad to catch you because we know that tomorrow is your honeymoon day.
No, we're working tomorrow morning. We're coming from Montego Bay tomorrow in St. James. We're going to be in Anchovy at Anchovy High School and Cornwall College. The communities surrounding those two institutions have been badly hurt by Melissa, and we are going there tomorrow with relief supplies for them, and also they can get their some health screenings done, health checks done. Yes, we're doing our bit. So tomorrow I'll be out there with them. It means leaving Kingston while in your bed, Papa Nana. It means leaving Kingston at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning.
But remember, say, I don't wish you see that, baby, but it's from the army.
You can't help it.
So, anyway, you're doing a good job. And we just pray to God for your health and strength and your staff.
Well, God has blessed me with health and strength.
Yes. I mean, because you mean this country well and you have some hard-working staff. So.
Yes, it's not so much up to me, it's to the people here at Nationwide. Without them, it would not be possible.
But I am telling you, Mr. Hughes, this station is very, very, very great, I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know why we really call you to? There is two things I want to say to you.
Yes.
There is what I told you from the National Aeronautical Academy. I told Laura, and I don't think she had told you. Why you don't find it fit to play the national anthem in the morning?
Why we don't do what?
Why you don't play the national anthem in the morning?
In the morning? Oh. At sign-on time. Oh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. We will consider it, sir.
And you remember I told you that he said whenever you come into America, you must tell him because he wants to do a tour.
Who?
You don't remember I told you that the gentleman from the National Aeronautical College in America wants you when you come here to do a tour?
Oh, yes, you did mention something of this.
Yes, I told you.
Yes. But
yes.
I have no plans to go to the United States of America anytime soon. You think they would accept me there? You think Trump would accept me there?
What do you mean? Trump knows that you speak your mind, you don't really care. So
yeah, but Trump knows. Well, if he didn't check, he knows how I feel about it.
Yes. All right. The second thing that I want to talk to you about
is
the guy that cut down the post. You want to tell me before Ghana man said the post couldn't drop on him? My God.
Well, what a wicked act. What a wicked act.
People in Jamaica, you come tell me, no, it's a youth. Me say them man, they should never be alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody can wicked them man? And another caller said to ask you, if and when you're going to decide to sell some shares in Nationwide.
Soon and very soon. Soon and very soon.
Yeah. And Mr. Hughes, you know we couldn't leave without the talk some politics. You know what's surprising to me that I never remember that I was eating something with Mr. Campbell. What a terrific changes.
With who? With Mr. who?
Nathan Campbell.
Oh, Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Why don't give the man him title?
I wish he was supposed to be easily.
Well, he earned it, you know.
Yes.
No, you're talking about the presentation. Which presentation you're talking about now?
The one with the Prime Minister
in the Parliament on Tuesday.
When he got up, you know.
Yes.
When he got up to go and talk, you know, somebody said, oh Lord, and he said, you don't worry for yourself. So somebody is wondering.
I will tell you, Papa Nana. I noticed it, like a lot of people noticed it. Dr. Campbell's presentation on Tuesday was very reasonable. Yeah. I thought he struck the right tone. Yes. And he extended his hand, so to speak, to the Prime Minister. And all in all, it was a very, very good presentation by Dr. Campbell. That is the Dr. Campbell we need to see more of, and not the one we're in trace.
Breaking up badly. It's going to short-live.
It's what?
I wonder if it is going to short-live.
Or, I think you would rather it be long-lived. Yeah?
Oh
I think that is it, the Dr. Campbell, that Jamaica would benefit more from, and he would do himself a lot more credit, earn a lot more credit, yeah? And if he conducts himself like that. And you know, it is, let me tell you, it is being whispered in some places, you know, that he's on a makeover. Yeah, we saw it with an editorial offering him some credits in the Observer. And, you know, there's talk that he's going to do a makeover of himself because he knows his conduct in the run-up to September 3 did not endear him to the people of Jamaica. So he might be on a mission to, you know, fix up himself. You know, you never know. There's a vacancy that may be coming up soon.
What I'm saying, sir.
Oh dear, I'm not hearing Papa Nana. Papa Nana, you have to talk to me at another time. Your line is bad.
Thank you.
Okay, but for people hearing me, they hear what I'm saying. Yeah? There's a vacancy that might be coming up in another year. Yeah, that Dr. Campbell may very well have some interest in. So let us watch him to see if what we heard in the Parliament on Tuesday is the new Dayton Campbell that may be emerging. Maybe. Yeah? You never know. All right, that's how we're going to leave it. Want to say thanks to our callers, our YouTubers, our WhatsAppers, and of course, our producer, Noragay Banton, our technical operator, Kevin Williams, the members of the news and production team. Thank you all so much. And tomorrow morning, we're coming to you from Anchovy High School in Southern St. James, Cornwall College in Central St. James, and to the people of St. James, we are going to be providing a number of goods and services for you to come out and make use of them. All right? We'd really appreciate you being there. All right? So see you tomorrow morning starting at 9. All right? Take care of yourselves. Time now for Oasis with Loy Gale.
You've just heard Cliff Hughes Online on Nationwide 90 FM. Join Cliff Monday to Thursdays between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. for Cliff Hughes Online.
Like a rock, hands were steady, my eyes were clear and bright. My walk had purpose, my steps were quick and light.
Welcome to Oasis, brought to you by the New Testament Church of God, 65 Waltham Park Road, Kingston 11. The church that is one big family.
Hi, I'm Loy Gale. Thanks for joining me. Worship is a great asset when facing a challenge. Moses, Aaron, and the people bowed low and they worshipped. We pick up the story. After that, Moses and Aaron approached Pharaoh. They said, God, the God of Israel, says, free my people so that they can hold a festival for me in the wilderness. Pharaoh said, and who is God that I should listen to him and send Israel off? I know nothing of this so-called God, and I'm certainly not going to send Israel off. They said, the God of the Hebrews has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness so we can worship our God, lest he strike us with either disease or death. But the king of Egypt said, why on earth, Moses and Aaron, would you suggest the people be given a holiday? Back to work. Pharaoh went on, look, I've got all these people freeloading, and now you want to reward them with time off? Pharaoh took immediate action. He sent down orders to the slave drivers and to their underlings. Don't provide straw for the people for making bricks as you have been doing. Make them get their own straw and make them produce the same number of bricks, no reduction in their daily quotas. They're getting lazy. They're going around saying, give us time off so we can worship our God. Crack down on them. That will cure them of their whining, their God fantasies. Exodus 5, verses 1 to 9, from The Message. A contemporary rendering of the Bible from the original languages by Eugene Peterson. Be sure to join me next time when we share the unreasonable demands laid on the Israelites by the Egyptians. Have a good afternoon.
Today's drink was brought to you by the New Testament Church of God, 65 Waltham Park Road, Kingston 11. The church that is one big family.